In this full tutorial video, I'll take you through the process of editing your ShotScope rounds using the online dashboard, which you can access from a web browser using a laptop or desktop computer. I've designed this tutorial for beginners, so I'll be covering all of the things that you need to know to properly edit your round. Although if you're an existing user and you've just got a few questions about the process or looking for a refresher, then hopefully this video will also still be useful. Making sure that you properly edit your round is one of the most important things that you can do as a ShotScope user to ensure that your statistics are as accurate as possible. So hopefully after watching this video, you'll have a clearer idea of how to properly edit your rounds. If you get value from this video, please do hit that like button. Feel free to subscribe to the channel to show your support. And if you have any questions about anything that I cover in this video or the editing process, then just make sure you drop them in the comments area below. Now let's get started with the editing process, where we'll take a look at identifying the round we want to edit from our online dashboard.
Now I've logged into the ShotScope dashboard here on a web browser. You can also edit your round using the mobile app, and I have a separate video for that which I'll link to in the card above and the description below. But personally I find it a little bit easier to edit my rounds using the online web dashboard, as I'm going to do in this video. Now your homepage here will show you lots of data about your previous rounds, how many strokes you gained or lost, so general insights like this. But if this is the first time you are going through the editing process, you'll not have this data because you don't have any previously recorded rounds or records or insights. But you will still have some options down the left hand side to do things like manage your clubs, to record a round manually, and also access things like the My Strategy tool to plan for your next round of golf. And again, I have a video showing you how to use this tool, which again I'll link to in the description below. But what we want to do is we want to click on rounds from the top menu, and this will show you all of the rounds that you have tracked during this period here. Now I have been using ShotScope products for many years, so I've got rounds dating all the way back to 2019. You'll probably not have anything like this, because if it's the first time you're going to edit a new round, then what you'll see is the round you've transferred, but basically nothing else. Now a quick indication as to whether or not you have edited a round, let's say you are going back into the editing tool after a number of months or weeks or years. If you see any rounds with the score in blue or in red, this means that you have signed off on this round. So this one here was an under par round, and all of these, as you can probably imagine, are over par in the blue. You're looking for anything that has a little pencil here, and that lets you know that that's a round that you have transferred across to your account, but you've not yet actually edited or signed off on this. And just in case you're wondering, this little symbol you see here with a graph and a little line through it, this little chart, this is just to inform you that this round does not count towards your performance statistics. So I'm going to show you in this tutorial how to make sure that your round doesn't contribute if, for example, it was maybe recorded on a shorter course, or you were maybe playing a small par 3 course and you don't want the clubs that you've used and the shots that you've taken to mix in with your general play statistics. So we're going to go down to this round here, this captured on the 27th of July 2024. I have a little pencil icon next to us, so I'm going to open this one up, and you will see I can only see the score for the round listed here, the holes, and then I have no statistics, but I can see a little map of the shots that I've played. So looking at this, because I can see that I've entered a score for 18 holes on the watch, I at least know I have recorded basically a full round using the device. So the first thing that I want to do is I'm going to click on any of these many sign off buttons. You get two options here. You get edit and sign off, or quick sign off. Quick sign off is useful if you just want to quickly sign off, as it suggests, on the score that you have entered, but just be aware when you do click on this, it will exclude it from social features such as leaderboards and rankings. So you might want to use this only if you really don't care about that round. Personally, I prefer to always use the edit and sign off option so that I can make sure that all of the shots are as accurately tracked as possible. So let's click edit and sign off. Now once we open up the main editing tool, you'll get a little tutorial at the top here explaining what all of the different things mean. I'm going to close this down because I'm going to take you through this anyway, but let's just click the cross here. So let's talk about what we can see on screen. At the start, we have at the top here the overview of the golf course and the hole that you are playing. And what it does is it basically shows you the shots from number 1 to however many you took to get it in the hole. And it will also show you the position of the flag for the hole you're currently editing. If you choose to go to another hole, so let's say for example I click here on the second hole, then you'll notice it highlights in this little map view just the second hole. So you're not getting to see all of your shots for your entire round on all of these holes, it just shows you the one that you currently have selected. If you want a slightly bigger view than this, then you can click on the expand option here, and that will increase the size. But just be aware that you then need to kind of scroll down to see the additional information, which sometimes, depending on your resolution, might be hidden. You can always go back to this kind of more slim or simplified view, but personally I prefer to keep it a little bit larger. It makes it easier to see. Now if you want to zoom in, you can click on the plus buttons up here, and you'll see it allows you to zoom in, and you can zoom out. You can also use the roller wheel on your mouse or on your tracker pad to move in and out like this. And then you'll see it has a grabber, so if you basically grab anywhere away from the shots, then you can move around the map by clicking and dragging. Now it uses GPS satellites and Google Maps, so you can see here, depends on when the map was taken. So this one is from 2025, so this is a really new map, and we can see we had some work done on our bunkers here which have pulled through. But the quality of your map will be very much dependent on Google Maps and how often they were updated. One other thing that is worth noting is if you've had any new bunkers added, or any of the map looks slightly out of date, then what you can do is you can contact ShotScope, because it might be that you've got a new map but they've still mapped it to the old map. So here, if this was updated in 2025, if for example this is a new bunker but it's not actually showing on the ShotScope device when I'm playing, then I might want to contact ShotScope just to get them to map this as a bunker that is now in play. Now you'll see here I am going to look at the information displayed below, so we can see the tee that we used, the hole number, the par number, the distance for the hole, and that's from your first shot, and then we can see my score, and the M score is your marker score. That's basically the score that you entered on your device when you were playing. So I took 4 shots and entered 4. If I had have entered 5 here, then what I would see is a little discrepancy like here. So if I go to the next hole, you can see it tells me there's a discrepancy. So I, on the watch, said I took 5 shots, but it's only logged 4. So we're going to take a look at how to correct that in just a minute. Let's jump back to the first hole though and scroll up. So the first thing that I'm going to do in this hole is we're going to look at how to change the pin position. Throughout this tutorial, I'm going to make use of all of the options that are available to show you how to do things like change the club that's been used for the shot, how to add positional shots, how to add penalties, how to move your shots around, how to mark shots as being on the fairway when it recorded them on the rough, or vice versa. So we'll take a look at everything you'll need to do before signing off on your round. But for this first hole, let's scroll into the tee shot. So we can see the tee shot location is here. And I can see that I used my driver for the tee shot, which was 272 yards away from the hole, and my drive was 214 yards, leaving 69 yards. Now, if I drag up like this, we can see the location of the second shot, which was here. And that is a 5-iron from the rough, which was 69 yards away from the pin. I hit it 79 yards and left myself 37 foot. So you'll see here, I landed on the green, but I am slightly behind the pin here. Let's say that when I logged the position of the pin, it wasn't quite accurate. So maybe it was on the right hand side of the green here, but I collected the pin in the wrong position, or because of the GPS limitations, I was maybe just slightly out on where it's picked the pin up. What we can do is we can drag the pin and move its position. So I'm going to drop it here. So I'm going to say that this par putt was from, let's just see how far away, 7 foot just to the left of the pin. So moving the pin position around is just a case of clicking and dragging, and then you will see though it does update the shot distance down here. So if I drop it back, we can put it to around about 5 or 7 foot. And this is where you want to be as accurate as you can with regards to the pin position and the position of your shot. Now if we need to move a putt around, then all we do is hover over the putt, and you'll notice the icon changes to a little finger, and then you can move its position. So GPS technology is only accurate to around about maybe 5 to 10 meters. So it is the case that sometimes you might find that a putt is maybe marked down as being here, but it was actually on the green. And in my experience, putts are probably where you notice most of the errors with regards to positioning, because you can actually see the green and probably remember exactly where you were. Now this second shot here, you'll see I used a 5-iron. I've only hit it 81 yards. I don't want this one to appear in my stats as a 5-iron only going 81 yards because I had to punch this from underneath a tree. So what I can do is I can click on this shot, and you'll notice underneath it gives me some additional options. So I'm going to say here is this was actually a positional shot because I had to keep it nice and low and just do a half swing with my 5-iron. So it's not going to include this in my performance statistics. ShotScope do their best to update all of the shots and to remove any what we call outliers. These are ones which are ridiculously long or short compared to your averages. But in this case, I can't be 100% sure that would be removed. So I'm going to make sure it doesn't get included in my 5-iron stats by simply marking it as a positional shot. You will see you can also, instead of clicking on the shot here, you can just click on the shot from this list and then add it as a positional. And if we made a mistake there, we can just deselect that. But you will notice we now get this positional marker on that shot. So I'm happy enough with that hole. Let's say we want to move on. Well, the first thing I would always recommend doing is just clicking the save button. And that's going to save those changes that we've just made. Generally speaking, in my experience, the desktop version is really good in terms of not crashing. Sometimes, depending on how quickly you are using your mobile version and moving between shots or holes, or if something else comes in like a notification, there could be an issue with the app and it may crash. So I prefer to just save after every single hole. Let's go to hole 2 though. So we can click on this little button here to go to the next hole. And that's the same as selecting the hole from this view here. Probably easier just going in here. So on this hole, it's a 202 yard par 3. I have taken 4 shots, that's what's been recorded on the device. But I have mentioned on the device myself that I have taken 5. So once I hold out on my V5, I basically said I took 5 strokes, but the device has actually only recorded 4. So let's look at how we can correct this. Well, the first thing that I have done with this round is I have teed off using my hybrid, but in fact I actually used a different club. And I've purposely set this round up with lots of mistakes to allow me to create this tutorial for you guys. But with this club here, if it wasn't my hybrid that I used, but maybe I don't know, the tag's been incorrectly assigned, or for some reason it's picked up the wrong club, what I can do is I can click on the down pointing arrow here next to H21, and I can select the club from my active list. Now you'll see here active is selected, but it can allow you to choose any club. So it could be I used another driver that I don't have the tag in on this day, so I just grabbed my hybrid to mark it as that. But in this case, I'm just going to focus on my active clubs. These are the ones that are in my bag area of the ShotScope account. So we'll go for the 6-iron, and it's from the tee, that's fine. If the position of the tee had changed, let's say it's captured it here, but actually I was right at the back, then I can move my position back here. And then let's drag forward and let's have a little look at what happened further down the hole. Now you'll see in here, it has logged this as my 5-iron, and I maybe punched it out, but it's captured me on the green rather than capturing the next shot. So actually my third shot was from the front of the green here, but for whatever reason the device on this occasion hasn't captured it. So I need to add that shot in. So how do we add a shot? Well, what we do is, first of all, I'm going to go to this 5-iron, and it's only gone 44 yards, so just like in the last hole, we're going to mark it as positional. So that is not going to be included in the stats. It might have been omitted, but just in case, we're going to mark it as provisional, as a positional, should I say. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to add in the shot that occurred here, the third shot. So we punched from here to this location, but at present it thinks that we just putted out straight away. So I'm going to click on the plus button, and then it's going to say, okay, which club did you use, or do you need to add a penalty? I'm not going to add a penalty because I didn't drop a ball, I just punched it out. So I'm going to say my next shot was with my sand wedge. So I choose the sand wedge, and then I click add shot. And then all I need to do here is I just need to click. So I'm going to click around about here. And then you'll notice it adds the third shot in here. So this is now a 5-iron to 38 yards here, and then it's a sand wedge 27 yards to 4 foot. Now, rather than, let's zoom back out, rather than me zooming into the green, what we can do is we can just click on the flag, and this takes you to the green automatically. Now, depending on how far it zooms in, it can be quite tricky to move these shots around. I've got 2 putts here, which are very, very close, so they're both basically between 2 and 4 foot. Let's say that actually my 3rd shot with the sand wedge didn't quite get this close. So what I want to do is I want to select the 4th shot, which is this one, and I'm just going to use the drag method here to reposition it. So actually I chipped, almost shanked it in this occasion, let's say to here, and then I left myself a long putt. So we putted from about 28 foot to within 2 foot. Now you'll see you can click on the final shot and you can actually mark this as a tap-in. So it's quite difficult to know if I'm short or long of the flag here, so we're only 2 foot away, but I can say, well actually my 4th shot went long of the pin, and then we tapped in from past the pin rather than leaving myself short with my 4th shot. So let's mark it as a long tap in, just less than basically a foot. Again, let's mark this as a save, and then let's jump on to the next hole.
Now, I really hope you are finding this video to be useful. If you are, please do hit that like button and remember to subscribe to the channel. I've got plenty of other ShotScope tutorials on the channel just now and more on the way. Let's get back into the video now where we're going to look at how to add penalty strokes.
So on this hole here, we have a discrepancy like we did before. So you'll see that we play from this position here down to the fairway, and then we play into the green. But there has been a little bit of an issue on this hole, so we're going to make some changes. The first thing is I want to say that off of the tee I actually lost the ball. So this tee shot wasn't a 213-yard drive to this position, that was my 2nd shot. So I'm going to click on the tee shot either by clicking here or choosing shot 1, and I'm going to mark this one as a lost ball. So then what happens, you'll notice, is you get a number 2 here, and it asks you to put where your ball went. So I'm going to drag this and I'm going to say my second shot penalty is in here. Now if we drag back, it's not always terribly clear, but if I move this one along, you'll see this is my 1st shot. So I'm going to move that separately. So the 1st shot was with a driver and it went basically, let's just say in this occasion, out of bounds. So now I hit my 3rd tee shot, but I'm going to say in this occasion I actually used a 3-wood, okay? So we can change that to a 3-wood, or we could say that I used a 3-wood in the first instance. So 3-wood put me way over here, so what I did is I switched to my driver, and then I managed to hit that drive basically 203 yards down to this position. The next thing to mention here is when ShotScope map your courses, they draw lines around the holes and around the fairways and around the greens. And that's how they mark out where the green is, where the fairway and where the rough is. But on occasions, it might be that your ball has landed like this, and it's listed as being on the fairway, but actually it's the rough at this point, and it's just that it's not been marked correctly by their mapping team. So what we can do is we can go to lie for the selected shot, which is this one here, and I'm going to change the lie to rough. And then for my stats, this is just going to update them as this being, well in this case it wouldn't matter as a missed fairway because it's actually my 3rd shot off of the tee, but if it's for any other shot, you can change it. So sometimes it gets it wrong. It might be that it's automatically detected it. So you'll see there it's a rough. In this position, it's marking that as a fairway, which actually, that is very, very close, if not in the rough. So let's just change that to the rough. Then let's move up and have a look at what else we have in this hole. So you can see here, I have marked it as a 6, but actually the score's down as a 7. And the reason for this is we had 3 putts, but actually on the day I only took 2 putts. So I'm going to take this final one and I can delete the shot. Okay, so if we've got any shot in here we need to delete, or it could be one of these two, then we're going to click delete shot and delete. And then that has balanced out the books, so we're now not showing a discrepancy. We've got 6 shots and my watch recorded 6, and then you can see here we putted from this position to there, which was basically just less than a foot. So now let's save and let's go on to the next hole. Now for this hole here, we hit our driver apparently 365 yards, but upon reflection there's no way I drove that green, so it's maybe missed a shot here. And again, I've purposely done that when I've been setting up this round. So what we're going to do is we're going to insert a stroke in here. So let's go to the insert and let's insert a 7-iron, and then I'll click at the position. So add shot, 7-iron. And you'll see my 7-iron's from around about here. I'm going to try and remember where it was. Let's say it was around about here. And then that means that 7-iron was 179 yards down to here. And then we putted up to this position and then sunk the putt. So again, because I on my watch have marked it as only being a 3, but the device has captured 4 strokes because now we've updated it, we're going to change this and we're going to change the marker score here, or the manual score, to 4. So now it balances out. And you need to balance all of those out because if you try and save your round with discrepancies, it'll ask you to check them first. So it's easy when you're playing your round to accidentally just put in how many strokes you took, but it's easy enough also to come back and correct them. And obviously, as I said, for the purposes of this, I'm making 1 or 2 of the shots up, but that's how you can add in a stroke and balance your discrepancies. So let's look at a couple more holes. We're going to go to the 5th hole now, and I'm going to show you what happens if perhaps you have a shot which has landed, let's say, short of a bunker like this, okay, but actually you were in the bunker. So we can come down and we can drag the position in and drop that shot into the bunker. But the problem with shot scope when you play 2 shots from the very, very close proximity is it often just records the final shot unless you move maybe 20 or 30 yards away, and then it will record that as the next shot. So if you play 2 shots from your bunker, sometimes it will actually only record it as 1. So this second shot here is in this green side bunker. What we need to do is we need to add another shot because I didn't get out of the bunker with my second shot. So we go to plus and we choose, in this case, my 60 degree once again, add shot, and I'm just going to position it in the same bunker. And you'll see now we have added in another shot. So we basically hit our first shot into the bunker, then from the bunker we hit another shot into the bunker, then we chipped out to here, and then in this case it's telling us that we 2-putted, so we made a 6. I've recorded it on my watch as being a 4, but again I did that just for the purposes of this tutorial. One thing I didn't do though is I have recorded it as a 3-wood when actually I hit a 6-iron. So I'm going to change that here to a 6-iron and just save to update. And then I'm going to go back in and I'm going to mark this as being a 6 and confirm. So we remove that. Now the final thing I want to do is go to the 9th hole. But rather than clicking through like this, what we can do is we can just click on the hole list here and then choose the 9th hole. And then for this one, I'm just going to make a quick correction to this shot here, which actually, let's say, was over here. And instead of using my 60, I actually used a 5-iron and I marked this as a positional. There we go. So we did a positional shot to here onto the green and then we 2-putted. Now at this stage, I'm going to scroll down and just check, are there any more discrepancies? Well, there is one here. I can see that because it highlights the M score in red, it highlights the number here, it highlights my out as being incorrect and my total. So we're going to go back to this hole here and I'm just going to have a quick look at what is going on with this one. So in this case, it's telling me that I hit a hybrid 292 yards, which isn't true. So once again, in this case, we're going to add in a stroke. So I'm going to go for a 6-iron from around about up here. And you'll see now we have a 6-iron, but actually I didn't hit a 6-iron. It was only 89 yards from this location down to here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to change this and I'm just going to say that I used my gap wedge, but it obviously didn't hit it very well and I landed down here, and then I had to play my sand wedge onto the green and I 2-putted by the looks of things. Yeah. So now we've updated that discrepancy and we can save again. Now the only other thing you might want to do or might need to do when you're playing is you might need to add in some penalty strokes. So if we go to, let's use the 10th hole as an example. I've hit my drive from this location and landed on the fairway, but it actually was the case that I was in here initially. but I didn't mark it as a penalty on the watch. I just prefer to do my penalties afterwards. If you are interested in learning how to assign penalties during your round, I have some handy videos explaining that, and I'll link to the description below and also in the card above if you're interested in checking those out. But you'll see here the second shot was played from here, but actually there was an issue with my tee shot. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to the tee shot and I'm going to go penalty drop. What this will then do is you'll notice it marks it as a red. Now this is slightly different from the lost ball. So I'm going to position it here, and then I'm going to say I had to take basically a penalty drop. So you'll notice number 2 becomes 3. So we've hit our drive to this position. Then instead of playing our second shot to here, we've taken a penalty drop to here, and then we're playing our third from here, which was our second before the penalty drop. Again, I'll need to come in and just remove the discrepancy, so we're going to increase that to 6 and then confirm. And you'll notice it has put it in as a penalty drop. The other types of penalties you can assign, if you need to assign a penalty for maybe you, I don't know, were late to the tee, or you've done something that's incurred a penalty, you can click on any of your strokes, like this one here, and then you can assign a penalty underneath here. But if it's a general penalty, then what to do is click on the plus button and you can insert a 1 or 2 stroke penalty. So it tells you here these are basically for rules infringements rather than lost ball or dropped ball. So let's put a 2 stroke penalty on add shot, and then the way that these are added is they just get added basically wherever you click. So you'll see it's now added a 2 stroke penalty after my third shot. And I would have to come in and adjust this. So we've gone through the entire round now. We've added in all of the types of penalties we need to. We've looked at moving shots around, so you just click and drag. It's always easier, obviously, if you zoom in more, makes it a little bit more accurate. If we want to jump to the green, we can click on the flag, and then we can move the position of the flag by clicking and dragging, and we can move position of the putts. And if we have a tap in, we can then put it close and choose tap in, and choose whether it's long or short. Now if we've gone through our entire round and we're happy with how it's all looking, we can do a final check down here to make sure that everything tallies up. So there's my total to par, here's my total breakdown for this round. I may have spotted that actually it's telling me I missed the first fairway when in fact I had hit it. So I could come back and we could obviously go in and check that one, and it might be a case of it was one where I was like this and ShotScope's data is telling me that I was in the rough, maybe like this, but actually that's a fairway. It's just that it's slightly different with their mapping. So then we can come down and we can correct that. Once you've checked over your round and you're happy with everything, then you go to this panel on the right hand side. You can enter your course handicap, which helps for things like leaderboards and whatnot. You can choose your tees, so I've already selected mine as white when I started this round. And then if you want to, you can set your stroke index. Again, I don't really ever bother with this. I don't worry about this or handicap. What I'm really interested in is make sure the score is accurate and I've positioned the shots in as accurate a place as possible. Now, if you want to share your round onto the course hub, you can. That allows other people who have access to your course or follow your course to see how you perform compared to them. It puts the stats into a kind of mixed pot for everybody. You can see who's got the best score on certain holes or for the entire course. It's up to you if you want to share it. If you don't, just deselect that. And if you want to include this round in your performance statistics, then you need to make sure this one's checked. If you don't, then you'll not be able to see this data in your performance statistics area here. So if it's a round where, as I said, you're playing in winter conditions, or maybe you're playing a small par 3 course and you don't want to mix those stats in, then you can take them out. I'm going to leave this one in though, and I'm going to click sign off. And then basically it's going to save my round, and it's going to then allow me to see my data, which we can now see up here. So you'll notice a big difference here. It no longer has a pencil, we now have a score to par. It will tell me if this round is one of my better rounds at this course. So I'm number 2 here. I can't remember off the top of my head exactly what this is telling me, but we can see in just a minute. So in fact, I've unlocked 2 achievements, that's what it is. So once we have edited our round and signed it off, we can see my overall, my front 9, back 9 in terms of score to par. We can see my performance on the par 3s, 4s and 5s. We can compare it with the season, so this is 2024. We can compare it with the previous season. And then we can see things like strokes gained for that particular round in different segments of the round. Below that, if we scroll down, we can see the kind of full scorecard view. with an option to review the course if we want to. Maybe we've played a new course and we want to give it a review. You can do so here. And then we can look at full strokes gained for this round, for the season and for the year. And you can see things like your average driving distance, fairways and regulations for the round, greens and regulations, blah, blah, blah. If you want to, you can also click on course analysis, and that allows you to see a breakdown of how you play each hole on the course. So this is an overview of the entire course, but I can see how well I play the second hole or the fourth hole on average and work out where I need to improve. So that's basically how to edit your round using the ShotScope online dashboard. I've got plenty of other ShotScope related tutorials and help videos on this channel. Please do consider subscribing and feel free to check out those videos if you want to learn how to get the most out of your ShotScope X5 or V5 golf watch. I've also got unboxing videos for ShotScope products, and I have tutorials showing you how to edit your round using the mobile application as well as this online dashboard.
So there you have it, that's how to properly edit your rounds using ShotScope's online editing tool. Hopefully you have found that video to be useful, but if you'd prefer to learn how to use the editor within the mobile app, check out this video here.